You're tuned in to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Show podcast. And now, here's your host, Ron Donahue.
Greetings, listeners, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Podcast Show. I'm your host, Ron Donahue, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Mario Lazo.
Hey, y'all, how you doing?
And Mr. Jeff McIntosh. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm fine, Ron. That's my spooky Halloween voice for the night.
Sounds great, Jeff. So, I read an article this week. I came across an article that Henry Cavill they've signed him to play in a new live action Voltron movie. They didn't give a time frame of when this movie is supposed to be coming out. For our listeners who might be maybe a tad bit younger than us, Voltron was a cartoon that came out in the mid 80s. All the robots, Transformers, Robotech, everything robots was huge back then. And it was a story basically about, it was a war story, futuristic war story, where there were two different Voltrons. One of them was these robotic lions that were piloted by the heroes. I think it was 5 heroes altogether. Yes. And then they would join together to form into the giant robot. But then there ended up being, I don't know, now I don't remember how that, I can't remember it. I remember watching it. There was another Voltron that was, it formed a giant robot by all these different vehicles. If I'm not mistaken, there were like some land vehicles, water vehicles, air vehicles, and same thing. They had pilots that would join together and form. Because I even think one time they even had one where they had the two Voltrons fighting together. I kind of remember that, if I'm not mistaken. But either or, what are your thoughts on it, gentlemen? I mean, are they going to have Henry Cavill wearing like a giant robot costume or something?
Well, when you said that he'd be playing on Voltron, went on YouTube to see if there were any previews or introduction into it. But the one that's going to come out, I guess, in 2025 has a bunch of stars in it. Chris Evans, Tom Holland, Idris Elba. I mean, a bunch of folks. Now, what component you're saying that Henry Cavill will be in it? What is he going to play? Even Mark Hamill's going to be in it too, according to the preview that I saw. What is he supposed to play?
That's my question. So this is supposed to be an all-star cast live action Voltron movie?
Yeah. Look it up on YouTube, and you'll see they'll have 2 of them. Both of them had Tom Holland in Spider-Man, but the first one of the ones that I saw had that collection of stars, and I go, wait a second. So is this going to be kind of like another Marvel Endgame kind of movie, or what's it going to be? So that kind of took me when you said that he's going to be in it, but he was the only one that wasn't in any of the 2 the previews that I saw. So I don't know how he'd fit in.
I'm wondering now if this is going to really make any money. And I'm saying that because I think it's all going to depend on the marketing. Because like I said, unless you're like 40 years old, at least, I don't think most people, if I'm going to do a survey on Tuesday, Mario, Wednesday, okay. I'm going to ask my staff, because only one of my staff is actually older than me, Jeff. I'm going to ask how many of them know who Voltron is. One of them might, because she's big into animation and whatnot. She might know. But I'm going to ask them, how many people know who Voltron is, and find out from them, does that sound like something they would be interested in? What are you thinking about it, Jeff?
Well, I was always an animation nerd growing up. I mean, I started out with the old Looney Tunes cartoons, and you know, I watched all the Disney stuff. You know, I watched Kim Possible and Darkwing Duck and all that stuff, and grew up on the old Hanna-Barbera superhero cartoons. You know, like the Herculoids, you know, all that stuff. So I actually watched both series of Voltron, and I liked it. And my favorite part was the beginning where they would have the announcer, and you know, you have these, you know, 5 heroes, and they have these robots that look kind of like dogs, and then, you know, they battle the interplanetary creatures, and they start to get their butt kicked, and then the leader goes, "Okay, let's form, and I'll form feet and legs, and I'll form the head," and and then they go in and they become like this giant super space robot that ends up kicking the monster's butt.
Right.
So I always really liked that, and as you know, the history of robots in the fantastic cinema. I mean, you can go back to like the 1920s when the term robot was first introduced in a work by a Czech author, I believe. And you know, I think that it could make serious money if it were done right and it wasn't cheesy. You know, I mean, Voltron kind of reminds me of the old movie Pacific Rim,
Right.
where they had guys and they would get in the monster, or they would get in the robot suits and control the robot. So it kind of reminds me of something in a similar vein. So I would be willing to plunk down a couple of bucks to go see it if it was done right, if the effects were done right. I don't want to see Clavel, you know, in some kind of a robot suit, you know, because that is just going to be kind of cheesy. Because then it's almost like Iron Man, really.
So
I got
go
two
ahead,
things to say. Two things. Now, I didn't finish up on the amount of characters because I wrote them down and I just got my list. Okay, along with the ones that I just said previously, you got Javier Bardem, Kate Blanket, what's her name? Blanket. Yeah, I think it's Blanket, right? Liam Neeson, Gail Gadot, Wonder Woman, and Hugh Jackman. Now, to have all those characters in there, you need some fat money, number one. And I don't think and you can go into that preview that I saw, and the scenes look great. They didn't look superimposed or done by some Mickey Mouse guy. It looks like it could be part of the original movie. It's supposed to be coming out in 2025. Now, with all the actors that I said, including the ones I said previously, that is some serious money for all those actors. So the quality of the movie has got to be good in order for them all to be in it, I would imagine. So I'm imagining if they do go through with it, and hopefully you guys will check it out after we're done here, and see, and then going, wow, you know, the background, everything looks good. It looks like some serious money involved. But will it be a success? I believe it should be, because these are all top-priced stars, you know? You're talking about the cream of the crop here.
Well, yeah, I mean, if that's correct, you have to send me that link. I want to see that link, Mario. Let me check it out.
But you know, talent doesn't mean the project is any good.
Amen. That's true.
Yeah.
Which leads into our... Go ahead, Mario.
They had success with the Marvel movies. The last how many were there? 4 or 5 that included all those big dollar stars. The ones that are kind of mediocre, the ones that have 1 star or 2, but in general, now who's going to be providing the funds for this movie?
Yeah, I saw it was Amazon. Amazon
yeah,
Studios, and I don't
yeah,
remember who the other people.
MGM, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
yeah,
MGM.
yeah. So Amazon has money, So hopefully, and I say hopefully, uh, it'll be good. I mean, like I said, generally when you have so many actors involved, and you're talking, top money actors, present and a decade or two ago, I'm just hoping that it comes out, because I don't think Amazon would invest at something that's in a bomb. That's not their nature.
Well, I think going into Jeff's last statement, which was just because you have, great talent doesn't mean you're going to have a great movie. That goes into our second topic for the evening. Joker Folie Deux. That movie currently is sitting at a 33 Rotten Tomatoes score. I've not heard anyone yet who said that was a great movie. Actually, I think the hardest comment that I actually heard was, why did they even make it? Because basically, I mean, I'm not trying to give any spoilers away. I'm not going to give any details other than they said basically it's just a story that's highlighting everything that happened in the first Joker movie. It's like nothing new except they added a bunch of song and dance routines and whatever in there, but there's nothing new that was added to it. I haven't seen it. I know that movies are subjective. I've seen there's some movies that are out there that people think are horrible that actually I thought weren't bad at all. So it's completely subjective. But overall, what I've been hearing is that it's a disaster. It cost 200 million to make, and as of 5 days ago, I didn't see what it was as of today. I mean, maybe it'll pick up a few more bucks for the long weekend or whatever, but it was at 114.8 million. That's a huge loss of funds there. And all the blame is really, it's not being put on Joaquin Phoenix or Lady Gaga. It's on Todd Phillips, because the studios gave him, in essence, total control. He knocked it out the park with the original Joker movie. And it's funny, the first time I saw Joker, I didn't really like it. But when I watched it a second time, it kind of grew on me. The second time I saw it, I enjoyed it more than I did the first time. So I can say, yeah, I like the movie. But it made $1 billion at the box office. So I guess the studios were just like, okay, let's have them knock another one out the park. But unfortunately, it didn't work like that. And they were saying another thing, too, that was really what was a big problem by giving Todd Phillips all of the control. You know how whenever they have movies, they usually have fans go out there and watch, or have people come out and watch the movie first, and then you get the feedback from them to see. That's what they had to do with the new Captain America movie coming out. They said when they first had the first screenings and let people see it, it was a disaster. They basically, from my understanding, threw out the entire script and started all over again. That's just how bad it was. And you see they brought in Harrison Ford and to really change the storyline from what it originally was. So he didn't do that. He just went like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I did this before. And so it bombed. So have either of you seen it yet?
I have not. I mean, everybody is familiar with the Joker in the Batman comics and the various incarnations he's had since his creation in the 1940s. I don't think anybody anywhere ever said, I really want to see the Joker do a Gene Kelly. I know he's got a song and dance man in there somewhere under all that insanity and criminal. Come on, what are you thinking? I mean, I went and saw the first Joker, and I was expecting something that was going to be a more or less retelling of the criminal Joker in the Batman comics. And this guy was a failed comedian, and you know, he puts on the grease paint, and he gets on this talk show, and he ends up killing the host. And I read after the fact, well, this Joker isn't the Joker. Is not the criminal mastermind in the Batman comics.
Right. It's what do they call them? Like those off-world stories where it's not in Batman canon. So it's another dude, and yeah, there was a Bruce Wayne in it, but it's not actual canon to the actual Batman story, because you can even see his age-wise compared to how Bruce Wayne is. Bruce Wayne's still a little boy. And Joaquin Phoenix is like, what is he, like almost 60 years old? So let's just say Bruce Wayne in the original Joker movie was, 12 years old. Let's say he's 13 years old. Okay, let's give him to Batman year one. So what was he, like 27 years old? What, Joker's going to be like 70, 80 years old trying to fight Bruce Wayne, Batman? So I don't mind. Sometimes some of those stories can turn out good when you have a superhero, or I would say a villain, and you just give a standalone story. It doesn't have to be canon. I mean, many of going back to my comic books and stuff, there's many times where they'll come out with a story for a different character, good or bad, and it's not canon, but yet and still, it's still a good story. I have not seen the second Joker, and to be honest with you, until it comes on streaming, I'm probably not going to see it. When I heard about, I think it was 13 or 14 singing and dancing scenes in the movie, I was kind of like, nah, I'm good.
I'm with you on that. And also, I've made several attempts, a couple of times, I think, to go and see it. And it's either a rain, bad weather, timing. And when I got indicators like that, and I've said, well, I haven't seen it because of 1, 2, 3 reasons, that means to tell me that I shouldn't be going to see it and wait till it comes out on streaming, because I just have had a hard time ever since it came out to go see it. And no, that's enough indicators for me,
So I'm pretty certain at this point in time, there's not going to be a Joker 3. I think we can rest easy that we will not.
Ends tonight, folks.
Yeah, exactly. There will not be a Joker 3.
He's a real good actor. I wanted to go see him because of Phoenix, and you remember him. He's always played a real formidable evil person. I'm sure we all remember him in Gladiator, when at the end of the movie, he's there on the ground and nobody wants to pick him up or drag him out in the Coliseum. Right. So he does play, and the amount of weight that he lost on that movie, I was just surprised and amazed that he went through that. So didn't he win the award for it, the Academy Award?
For a Joker?
Yeah.
I believe he did. I believe it was a lot. Yeah. For that movie to make as much money as it did, I'm pretty sure there were awards going around here and there. I'm not sure in particular if he did. But as I said, I appreciated because the first time I watched it, I didn't understand everything in it. And it wasn't until I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, okay, all this stuff he was thinking, this guy was just imagining all this stuff. He wasn't with Zazie Beetz through the whole movie and all this stuff. So I can say I'll call me slow to the game. I didn't understand it completely the first time I watched it. And the second time it finally sank in and I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. So, but even still, going back to what I said before, there's not going to be a Joker 3. I'm pretty certain. If the second one's a musical, then what's the third one going to be, animated or something? Joker 3, the animator.
Do is they're going to do it like Ghostbusters. They're going to have like the kids of the Joker and Harley Quinn, and they're going to
exactly. So now we're going to move into our question of the week. this week's question of the week is...
So we do a little paradiddle. It's almost like that little gong thing that they had on...
the Gong Show?
Law and Order, you know?
Oh, it doesn't... Yeah, let's do that again. Yeah, it's true. So the question of the week is, name 4 Halloween or October must-watch horror movies that you guys watch every year.
Okay, I'll go first. I always watch the original The Mummy. And the reason for that is out of respect for my old man. You know, we used to go to the movies quite a bit, and he did tell me the movie that really scared him when he was a kid, that after he saw it, he ran home. I mean, he didn't stop home. He ran home. Was the original Mummy. I think it was the 30. Didn't it come out in 32, I believe?
That's correct.
And,
that was Boris Karloff, right?
Yeah, Boris, the original one. And
right.
I'm imagining my dad must have been 9 or 10 or 11. And I guess when he got out at 8 or 9, or since it was dark, he just ran home. And he told me it was about 6 or 7 blocks. He didn't stop till he got to the front door. And then...
you were going to say your dad was the mummy there, Mario, for a second.
No. And then I always like to watch, and I guess it's because of the amount of characters or the way that it was done. It may not be a lot of folks out there's favorite movie, but mine is Bram Stoker's Dracula. It had good actors, and I liked it.
Frank Langella, right?
Yeah, no. It was God. What is his name? He always plays a bad guy. Gary Oldman.
Oh,
Gary
that
Oldman.
one. Yeah, that one. I gotcha.
And Gary Oldman played a real good part because he changed his persona and his disguise several times throughout the movies. And it also started Winona Ryder, I think, when she was young, and Keanu Reeves, and of course Anthony Hopkins. You know, so
okay.
I liked it. You know, it didn't disappoint me, to be honest with you. Okay, and I changed this in the last 4 years. The Ghost of Mr. Chicken.
Oh, I love
And
love that movie.
Don Knotts didn't get the credit that he should have. Maybe during his time in the theaters he did, but I always liked that movie. That one, and the other one was, I think, The Incredible Mr. Olympia. I think it was.
Right.
It's also an animated one. And then the one that I like when it comes to, which was actually banned in Ontario, Mr. Pinhead, Hellraiser.
Oh. Great choice, Mario. Great choice.
Because I remember watching and go, oh, dang. Oh, man. You know, out there. And one of them, I can't remember which one, you know, it goes back to, I think it was during World War II or World War I, you know, where it originally happened. And I really enjoyed it. So, you know, those are my 4 movies.
Okay.
that I watched.
All right, Jeff, you're up.
Oh, I never watch horror movies in October. I'm too scared. So my choice of just 4. Okay, my first one is going to be the original Halloween, except no substitutes. Do not watch the Rob Zombie movies. Do not watch anything past Halloween 2. Do not watch Halloween Kill. Don't watch any of that crap. The first Halloween is and should be considered canon.
Yes.
My second movie is Trick or Treat.
Yes.
Which I think is just fantastic. I like how the stories
merge. Yeah, they merge.
They merge together, and you know, you see the events and you see different timelines, and then at the end of the picture you go, oh, that's what it was all about. I especially like, because the werewolf is one of my favorite monster movies. I like the werewolf section of the movie, which finally ends up about, I want to say about 3/4 of the way through the movie. Third movie, 1953's The Howling. Absolutely do not watch the, 1999's version with Liam Neeson. I like him. I don't like him in this movie. I thought the remake was just awful, terrible, and I hope everybody took the money and ran. Last movie, of course, is going to be 1960s Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. They liked your choices, Jeff.
Who doesn't like a guy who's got another personality who kills people? I mean, come on, really.
So mine, Jeff, you actually have, me and you are, like say, brilliant minds think alike. I had the same thing. Number one on my list was the original Halloween. I'm in total agreement with you. For fans, I know. When we talk to younger folks, they're like, "Oh, you mean Rob Zombie's Halloween?" No. You mean the last one that came? No. I'm talking about the original 1978 Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween, and the second one are, as Jeff said, once you watch those two, that's good enough. You don't need to watch any of the other ones, the H2O and all the other ones that came out. Not necessary. Those two, Halloween 1 and 2, those are the best ones. I also had Trick or Treat. I love that movie. That movie is so funny. Just like Mario had a comedy horror, I guess you consider horror comedy on his list. That's the first horror comedy on mine. That movie is so great. And I've been waiting. There was rumors, and they'd even talk with the writer about there being a second one. He's been to different, I guess, Comic-Cons and things like that throughout the years, and people have pressed him, is there going to be a second one? And he keeps saying, that they're still working on it. I don't know when it's coming out, because the original one came out in 2007, so he's had quite a while to get this thing written. But either or, is supposed to be a second one coming out, hopefully. My number 3 on my list is, I just watched it last night, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That movie is so funny. That's so funny. I know a lot of people don't like to watch black and white films. I understand. But if you want a good laugh, just funny, slapstick goofiness with the original Dracula, Frankenstein. Okay, let me take it back. This was not the Boris Karloff Frankenstein, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the only Frankenstein. This was another actor by the name of Glenn Strange who played Frankenstein in the movie. But then it had the original werewolf, Lon Chaney Jr. He was in the movie as well. It's not canon. I learned that this movie is not canon to Dracula, the werewolf, or Frankenstein, but it's a really, really funny movie. And then the last one on my list, 1980s The Fog. Once again, with Jamie Lee Curtis. It's not, and the funny thing about that movie is it does not take place during Halloween. It actually takes place in, I think, the summertime, if I'm not mistaken, or late summer in out there in California. But I don't know. The movie is just so, a creepy ghost story and what have you. That's, like I say, that's one of the movies that's on my list. I gotta watch it every year, either or.
Wait a second. Did you say Jamie Lee, or wasn't that Adrienne Barbeau?
It was Adrienne Barbeau, but Jamie Lee Curtis was in it, as well as her mom, Janet Leigh, also was in that movie as well.
Okay, I gotta rewatch it. I guess all I remember is Adrienne Barbeau because of her cleavage. That's all.
and matter of fact, in the movie, Janet Leigh, she had an assistant, a young lady that was, I don't remember if she was like a politician or a realtor or whatever she is, but she had an assistant. The young lady who played her assistant was also in the first Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. She was one of the actresses, one of the victims in the original Halloween movie, one of Michael's victims. But yeah, she was also she was in that movie as well. But yeah, it's a great movie. The remake that they did many decades afterwards was crap. So I mean, I know everybody has their opinion. Some people might like it. Younger folks, you might think of that as the original, but I would tell you, go back. Go to the 1981. That movie is very, very creepy. It's in color, so you don't have to worry about it being in black and white, but it is a really, really great movie. So that brings us to the end of our show. I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Mario Lazo and Mr. Jeff McIntosh. For our listeners, we'd like to hear your comments. Leave them as far as what do you think about the topics that we covered tonight. Do you have a list of Halloween movies or TV shows that you watch every year? If so, drop us a line, let us know, and we'll share it on the next show. So that being said, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mario. And we will see you all next time.
Y'all take care.
Have a good weekend, folks.
Stay dry.